Hello, America. Welcome to another episode of Rod and Arrow Outdoors. I believe we have a request from one of our watchers. So, Sandy, this one's for you. Your question is, do you think you could do a YouTube video on how to put a rubber worm on a hook so as not to lose the worm when you get a bite? You say you're asking for a friend, Sandy. Are you that friend? It's okay, I'm here to help. The thing about plastic worms is they're a fairly fragile bait. And if you're not tearing your worms up a little bit, then you might be using the wrong bait. I'm going to show you how I hook a plastic worm onto the hook. Not only that, I'm going to show you how I fish it. So we're getting ready to get on the water, and I will do my best to show you how I attach a plastic worm to a hook and how I fish it. Right or wrong, America, I don't know. This is how I do it. So stay tuned. Okay, here we go. I'm going to take you through, just from start to finish, how I rig this thing. So firstly, I like to use one of these stoppers. What this does, I'm going to put you right here. What this does is this will stop your sinker from running around on your line. This will keep your rig together, especially if you're throwing into some fairly heavy cover, because what that's going to do, it'll keep your sinker from falling on the one side of a log or something, and your bait falls on another, and that'll end up kind of messing you up, and you could get a bite and you wouldn't even know it. So I like to keep all my bait together. Move this up the line a little bit. Now there's a couple kinds of hooks you can use. I like to use a straight shank hook on a worm, and it looks like this. So you can use a wide gap, but it's going to be a little bit more streamlined with this hook here, because it'll be a little bit easier for it to go through cover and won't as likely to get you hung up on stuff. So that's why I'm going to use this hook. So I've already got my stopper on here. I'm going to get a little bullet weight. This is, I think it's a 1/4 ounce or a 3/16. I think it's a 1/4 ounce. I'm just going to throw that on there just like that. I'm going to tie my hook on with a Palomar knot. And a Palomar knot is probably the easiest knot there is. I like it because it's fast and because it's small. So you rig your line through your hook twice, just like that. You loop it through, and all you do after that is you tie an overhand knot, drag that loop back through that knot, and then bring it around your hook. And that's as strong as any knot, and it's super easy to tie. And since it's so small, I like to moisten it a little bit also. And I'm going to cut off this tag end. And don't, when you're cutting your tag end off your knot, don't get it super close to the bait. Just give it a good 1/4 inch or so. That's not going to hurt anything. And so if the knot tightens or loosens or during a hook set or something, it's going to get nothing but just better. That piece of line is not going to affect anything at all. So actually the timing is pretty good right now for a curly tail worm. So this is a Yum ribbon tail. I don't think it matters what brand you buy. Don't fall into buying the super expensive stuff, especially when it comes to this type of stuff. So a little ribbon tail, just like this. So now what I'll do, see this got the flat set on the worm here, so that's going to tell me that's the bottom of the worm, at least with this one. So I'll run that in there about a 1/4 inch and come right out the middle there. And then I'll run it over the bend. So that's what that's for. This worm is made for a hook. So now, if you look where the bend is, That'll tell me where to put the point of the hook in. I'll run it straight in. And then I'll just bury that tip in there just a little bit like that. And so that's how I rig my worm. So this is pretty clean water. So that's why I'll use a more natural color. So if you're fishing somewhere that's kind of muddy, or maybe dirty, cloudy water, stained water, you'll be more likely that you'll want to run like a black and blue or something a little bit darker colored. And that's it. That's what it looks like. So when it comes to the worm tearing, it's just going to happen when you catch fish. That's why they come in packs of 12 and 15. So there's a lot of ways you can fish a plastic worm. Okay, let me rephrase that without sounding like a know-it-all. There's a lot of ways that I like to fish a plastic worm. So with this, and they're great to fish from the bank too, because what often do you do? I mean, the plastic worm is meant to be like crawled along the bottom. And so this way, so right now, I'm sitting at about 22 feet of water. This is a super deep place. And so there's a slope that's coming all the way down to my boat here. And so those fish they're not always gonna hang up on, you know, like wood or something. They could be just at a certain depth. So this is actually kind of a good way where you can get that worm out and you can stair step. There's a bite right there. Well, they don't get much smaller than that. So that's real typical what your worm's going to do after you get a bite. So you can just put it back up there and we can start all over. So what that tells me is that they can see it, they're sensing it, so we're just going to keep on fishing this little guy. It's actually pretty good timing for this ribbon tail worm because it's post spawn. The spawn's over with, and a lot of times there's going to be a lot of fish that are a little bit deeper. And this is something that you can do from the bank just as easy. Instead of going down the hill, you're just going up, which I don't think that really matters. It may work better sometimes. But if I'm gonna fish heavy cover with a plastic worm, I'm gonna cast to it. I'm not gonna get real close in and flip it like I would. If I'm gonna do that, I'll use more of a short, compact bait. So I hope that's helpful. Hopefully, maybe there was something to learn by it, and I'm fixing to learn something too, probably. I really appreciate the questions, though. If you're watching this right now, and if you have something that you want me to try, or if you think I need to try something different, or if you have other ideas, let me know. If it makes sense, I'll try it. There's a bite. That's a good one. Well, if we stay hooked up, I'll get the scale out for this one. Nothing wrong with that fish. Come on, get tired, would you? That's a nice one. Look at that. That hook got right in there too. That's a football. Let's see what she weighs. I'd be pushing 4 pounds. Ooh, 4 pounds, 5 ounces. I'm gonna lock you in right there. 4 pounds, 5 ounces. Not a bad start. See ya. Whew. Well, maybe we can weigh 5 fish today, the way this is going. Or did I speak too soon? And my worm's still in pretty good shape. So we're just gonna keep fishing this guy. He's got it. Crappie. Look at that. You're not supposed to eat that. Hey, if I had the cooler, you know where he'd be. There's one. That's another good one. There we go. Boy, he's no way he was getting off. Hooked just perfect. It's 2 pounder, maybe a little more. We're gonna weigh him. We're gonna weigh him. Come on, get off of there. Dang. Take the pliers to him. 1 pound, 15 ounces. So, yep, he's a 2 pounder. See you later. All right. Well, there's number 2. Sometimes the bite can be really subtle. Like that one, I felt just a little bit of weight and then my line started moving. So when that happens, you don't want to waste very much time in getting a good hook set on them because they will eat it. And you don't want to gut hook them. Because that will kill them for sure. Okay, so plastic worm trick number 2. Eventually, like this one, the end of it, here I can show you, it gets wore out. So what you can do, there's nothing wrong with this worm. We're just going to shorten him up a little bit. We're just going to cut his little nose off. Make sure that don't let that go in the water. We don't need to be you don't just throw them in the water either. Don't just throw your used soft plastics in the water, because sometimes the fish will eat them and it's not the best thing for them to have in their belly. And then I'll just rig it right back up through there. It's like we got a brand new worm. So I've caught, what, 2 or 3 fish and had a couple other bites, and we still got a good worm. So they can take a beating a little bit. But if you're in one of those situations where you're just gonna catch fish after fish after fish, no, they're not gonna last you very long. Those days are fun though. Just bring an extra bag of worms, right?